Oppenheimer Caterpillar building in Palmerston North, where Hayes and Eastwood have just had their trucks in for servicing and are about to take them back up to a new contract near Horopito. This is the number 6 LJB that is being serviced, and full check over between two jobs. It's not much use having a whole lot of dollar value of machinery unless the things are properly looked after. Hayes and Eastwood know it, Oppenheimer know it. You might as well get it serviced properly, otherwise you'll be in trouble for the rest of your life. Foreman of Oppenheimer Palmerston North branch is refueling, and this other machine, number 7, the D25B, having finished its overhaul, it's just about ready to go back up to the job at Horopito. Final checks, she's got to be right. Oppenheimer workshop foreman. It's final check the oil up, and down in here we've got the big 3306 Caterpillar 6-cylinder diesel turbocharged, which drives this DJB along. Set, and back to work you go. DJB 25B, DJB. So with Oppenheimer's workshop having completed their work, back into the workplace goes the DJB for Hayes and Eastwood of Wanganui, and the rest of the Caterpillar machinery that they're using will be busy, and possibly none of them will see this workshop now for another couple of years, because they run a very efficient workshop servicing work at the site. Just the major overhauls they have done here at the Goff's premises. Well, now we're up at Horopito, and we see John Hayes arriving in the Hayes and Eastwood ute. In the background, the D5 and the mobile site office. And this is the new part of the contract here, where Keith Bowen, the site foreman, and John are just looking at, because the new contract that is starting up will be to fill in this little bit of fill here with some of the earth from down at the original viaduct, and put it up onto this railway line siding so they can take the tractors and trucks right over the top and fill into the next part of the contract, which is in the bush right behind us here. John Hayes, Keith Bowen, formerly from Goffs, being well into the earth moving game, and here's the old trunk line down the way here. There's all action here today, because here's Richardson Drilling bringing along some of the pipes that the concrete will be put down to make the piers, and following him down through here will be a crane to lift off. It's parked over here at the moment. So down through this bush here is some survey pegs. You can see one in in front of us here now, and that'll go on through the bush, going out to our right slightly from where the old right line is, and sweeping to make an easier grade for the electric trains.
Right, well this area through here, Tim's the centre line of the new alignment. Come through this bush, it's all got to be cleared.
So this little gap that we're looking at now is right on the new railway line, is it?
That's correct, it's the centre line of the new alignment. There's a peg here just behind us that we've got an alignment with, and at the moment we've only got pegs about every 50 or 80 metres until we've cleared the line, and then we'll repeg it.
So this is the other end of this bush, probably about a half a kilometre long. The whole of the deviation is 3 kilometres long, and there's a couple of stream diversions to do along the way. Culvert probably to go in just here somewhere, and it starts at the last part where they did the bridge clearing, the viaduct clearing, and goes right through to where we saw the railway line just a few minutes ago. Where do we go from here? There's all the pegs, where do we go? So the line goes right down through here, and you can see where John's pointing here, following the orange pegs. And a bit more bush on the other side. That's where the previous work is there. So we can see from what John's pointing at is roughly where the line of the new Ohakune, Horopito electric rail deviation is going. Well, the date is 16th of December 1985, just 3 months and 1 week after Hayes and Eastwood, Whanganui earth moving contractors, started on this contract on the Ohakune Horopito rail deviation. That's for the electrification of the New Zealand Railways line. Down here, not very far from Horopito, and it's in the Tongariro National Park, as you can see by this sign here, and very beautiful spot it is too. So we'll be able to move on a bit now and just see just how the Hayes and Eastwood gang are working with their machines and organising the whole of this particular job. Well, we're back up at the main part of the work of the deviation. We see Richardson's drilling car coming out. They're doing the piling at the bridge site. And we've got Keith Barnes here with us just to tell about what's happened since we were here last, 3 months and 1 week ago. Keith, we were here before and this bush line was, well, it was all bush through here, and how have you got about getting this cleared?
Well, we were first using a digger in here clearing the bush off to the side, but it was too slow and the cost was too great, and we brought Bill Perry's D8L in. It had wide shoes on at that stage.
That's this D8L right here, is it?
That's correct. And it certainly speeded the process up and cut our costing down. That's really been a success to the bush clearing in this job.
So you pushed all those logs over into heaps on each side of the track, or the proposed track. You've cleared the way down and through this stream here, which is a bit of a nuisance, is it, this stream, because it's right down the middle of the railway line to be.
That's correct, yes. Down where the centre line of the railway goes, there's an old stream bed. It's been full of unsuitable material, and it's all had to be excavated out down to a solid footing. The stream bed itself will have a scoria blanket through it to pick up.
Where's that scoria coming from, Keith?
From Ohakune.
Oh, pretty close to pretty close hauls for that.
Yes, it's extremely close actually, very lucky.
Yeah. And before I can hear a train coming along now. How long will it be before this train will be running on a new line? Can you tell us that?
The contract's due for completion in February 1987.
So February 1987, and this train will be running on this new line that Hayes and Eastwood are building under supervision of the New Zealand Railways. And of course they'll have electric power on the lines as well, and a much more modern effect. Now we're down a little bit further, probably 100 metres from where we were, and when we walked through this bush originally there was quite a dam here, Keith, and I noticed you've had to dig a drain to drain that out. What's the problem been there?
There's just a pocket here with no outlet to it, and it was full of ash, and we had to dig a drain here to get drainage from it. There's no inlet to this hole here, it's just water seeping in. We're going to put a scoria mattress of big bony scoria through the bottom of this.
Oh, that's the stuff you got just up here, is it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Scoria that's... Looks like the railways are doing a bit of surveying up there, of seeing how the job's going too, by the look of it. So going back onto the job here, so we're draining this off, and we'll be seeing in a minute just where the creek will be diverted over a bit, because the line will be running right down through the middle of this. So right here we've got the diversion of the creek, and where we were a minute ago will be, as we said, covered over with scoria and profill. And in here, where the creek will be diverted with a drain dug through. And Keith, that'll go right through just where we're looking into the camera now, and across, so that it comes out onto this larger creek right here. That's the story, is it?
Right.
So that original creek will be diverted completely into here, and meanwhile the farmer can keep on his farming with this temporary fence that's been put up while the construction's in progress. So from this stream diversion, which was over on our right here, we're coming down now where it was, and we've cleared out all this soil in here, and this is where the stream diversion is coming in again. That'll be moved over against those logs over there, probably about 5 metres or so from where the creek is now. Would that be right, Keith?
Yes.
And the line itself will go over a culvert just here and continue on down to what looks like a Nissan hut down there, but it's actually an Armco pipe. And what happens down there, Keith, at that Armco pipe?
That Armco pipe is a stock and vehicle underpass for the farmer. It's about 1.5 metres of fill to go on top of that to bring the railway formation up to grade.
1.5 metres of fill. So back here, just in front of us where the stream is, there'll be how many metres of fill in here?
About 5 to 6 metres of fill to bring it up to grade.
And where are you going to bring that fill from?
That all comes from the southern end of the contract.
Oh yes.
In the national park.
And the line from there sweeps slightly to the left, does it, after the big Armco culvert down there?
That's right.
So you're right, here's a new addition. We've had this access road put in from the main state highway, which brings us into the site here. And in addition to this, we're right next to us, we have this Armco pipe. And Gary, there's quite a bit of work to go on in here first. We've got to, on the floor we've got concrete, and what else goes in here?
There's a hard packed pan goes on the floor, and then 2 9-inch pipes, one on either side for drainage, and then a concrete floor on top of that.
That'll give vehicle access for people going underneath the railway line.
Yes.
And on top of this pipe will be 1.5 metres of fill.
That's right.
And on the other side, Golf and Hamer, Caterpillars are going to put up a pretty good looking workshop so that the vehicles can be serviced the whole way through the year to keep the job on hand the whole time.
That's right.
Well, this is an example of what the bush was like when the Hayes and Eastwood contract started. They put a digger in here to clear away the worst of the trees, just to make a bit of a swath through. Then what happened from there, Keith?
That's when we brought Bill Perry's D8L and he took over the clearing of the bush from then on, and he brought it clear to the sort of finish. And then after that we had Ron Fitzgerald in with his D4 to root rake the material off to the windrows and just leave a nice clean area for us to start stripping topsoil at the end of the job.
So the main thing is to keep the job tidy the whole way through, so that the job's tidy and the work progress can be kept tidy as well.
Yes, and to keep the water from ponding in any low-lying spots is fairly critical as well.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that one. From our Armco pipe up there, we've had to do a lot of clearing and swamp digging in here with the swamp tractors. Very, very soft and swampy. Had a lot of rain over the last 2 or 3 months, somewhere around 4 to 5 inches a month. So Keith got in and drained it out, dug this wee drain that you can see down in here, and also it'll continue. There's a little spine coming off here from our left, and it continues down several hundred metres into the bush over there. And what happens later on, Keith, we will be having to drain this a bit more, will you, before you do the finishing touches?
Yeah, once the formation comes back up to grade, there's probably 5 metres of fill on centre line here. This material here will be landscaped back into the fill and landscaped back this way, and we'll end up putting a nice straight drain down through the swamp area. There will also be some subsoil drain pipes coming in from the toe of fills here to drain any water that's seeping into the toe of the fill, and it'll come back out into a drain and go on down through into the creek.
Now the centre line of the railway line is this centre row of pegs, is that right?
That's right, yes.
Would that be a fairly sharp turn, or is that acceptable in this day and age of electric locomotives? I suppose that's a railway's problem anyway, is it?
Yes, it is. That's their design, but I would say that's fairly acceptable.
Yeah. And right down in the background here, I think we can just start picking up some of the Hayes and Eastwood machinery. Looks like one of the dump trucks down there. So we'll be down there looking at that one fairly soon. This is an example of what they're contending with. Is this is all very soft stuff. You can see Keith is just poking his finger straight into it like porridge. What do you do with that, Keith? What are we going to finish up with this?
Well, we've been digging this out with the diggers, throwing it out to the side. It'll be just used to landscape back in against the fill at the end of the job. We'll backfill this area with some nice clean fill when we start filling them through here.
Well, we're only just a few, probably 50 metres off the edge of the job at the moment, but we come down here to a silt trap that we've put in because the farmer was yelling a bit about the silt coming down the river. And obviously, environmentally, it's a good idea not to have silt coming down creeks. So this has been put in here, and it'll drop the silt down, and the clean water flows out the other side there. And in due course, of course, the silt will fill up, but of course there'll be no works going on then, so it should be all nice and clean and tidy by the time the job's finished. Well, we're getting closer down to where the work is actually going at the moment, but this area was cleared. The small scrub was cleared away first, and then the trees were cut down and the bigger logs hauled out of the Tongariro National Park, which is where this bushline is, and they were stacked over here. Beautiful totara logs, and they'll be tinted off in due course. And a little bit further over to our left is yet another stream, which is the one that feeds the silt trap we're just looking at, and there'll be a culvert here, a pipe underneath, a bigger pipe, because the bigger pipe will also have access for animals to go through. It'll be 1.8 metres diameter. Well, we've got just turned up on the Subaru four-wheel drive as Gary McGill, the New Zealand Railways supervisor for this area, with John Hayes of Hayes and Eastwood, of course, and we're just going to have a look at these totara logs over here. They're real beauts.
700 years old.
So we're now looking at some of these logs here. John, what have we got in the way of logs here? Could you point a few out to us?
We've got some Miro here, some Remu and some totara over there.
Which is the totara?
Matai here.
That's the totara there that Keith's standing on. And the Remu is this one right down in front of us here. and a Mad-Eye in here somewhere or other, is it? Oh, the Miro's the one, yeah. Oh, yeah. So most of this timber will be well over 500 years old, so that's the reason why they try to conserve as much of this native timber as possible. So getting closer to the job, we've got Keith on our left, John, and the discussion is about the diggers and when the oil changes and surfaces are due. All top machines have got to be kept up top with the surfacing. And of course Murray, the railway site engineer, is pretty keen to make sure that all the machines are 100% available all the time. Well, the fence we're at now is the border of the Tongariro National Park, and from here on in the contract gets tricky because there are very, very strict guidelines environmentally laid down on this part. And so what's happening in here, Keith? Can we get a bit of an explanation?
The first 215 here is just loading all the vegetation out that's been cleared off this section, and it's been carted away to a dump zone for rehabilitating the Tainui stockpile dump zone. The second 215 in the background there is loading topsoil from the same area, and that's been taken over to a Tainui dump zone as well and placed on that.
And these dump trucks here, there's two different models we've got here.
That's right. The ones here in the foreground are the D25Bs that John and Mike have owned for 18 months now, and the far one there, which we have two of those, are the D25Cs. They have now been taken over by Caterpillar and are now Caterpillar trucks rather than DJB.
What's the differences on between the B and the C then, Keith?
Well, the 25C has a 3306 engine, as does a 25B. It's a DI engine now. It's more fuel efficient than the old engines, a lot more responsive. The 25Cs have a different transmission. They have a 615 scraper transmission in them. It's a 6-speed transmission with a torque converter lock-up in it. And they're certainly a lot more efficient and a lot quicker than the old 25Bs.
Now we've come across a whole stack of green painted pegs, like this one right here. Just what's the deal here, Keith?
These pegs here are 1 metre offset from the top of the cut, and the writing on there indicates from the top of the peg how much cut there is to the first bench in this position here.
Oh yeah, so that says 1.980 metres has got to be taken off to the first bench.
That's right. And then there'll be another cut from that bench. It'll be a 4 metre bench and a 6 metre cut down to railway formation level.
Well, this time we're sitting up on the back of one of the 215 diggers with Tony Gibbard driving, and we're throwing up onto one of the dump trucks. Not so much hard work, but tricky work for Tony in here, because it's digging out all this undergrowth. A fair bit of balancing has to go on here to get this job right. Fitzgerald, the driver of that dump truck. This is where you need good operators on your machines to know exactly what the limits are. Tony's been on diggers and dozers many years, and he needs skilled staff to operate these high value, high dollar turnover machines. Operates it just like a human hand. All a matter of balance. we can feel a couple of spots of rain. So goodness knows what the weather's going to do to us tomorrow. So here we are, and he's got a balance this time. Whether she'll stay there is another matter. All tricks of the trade. Tony, looking good. I wouldn't like to be down in that cab there with the driver if this thing dropped, so he might have a little word to say about this. Well, that's good stuff. That's what they call skillful driving. And looking further down the cut, we can see what's happening. And we've got to remember that this cut's got to come down probably 10 or 15 metres from here yet. Looks like something out of the jack and a beanstalk case, this bit. Truckload goes away, and like any efficient operation, the next truck with Jimmy driving is already there to load up. So come the end of the day, bring the machines in to refuel. Tony brings his digger down over a bank there. So on a newer 215 here, we've got John Haig, the driver, filling up. Time's coming up 6:30, the knock-off time for today, and they'll be refueling the machines already for an early start tomorrow morning. John Haig and Tony Gibbard, experts at their job. Expert machines, Caterpillar 215s. Well, now we're riding down on the DJB through one of the cuts. Down here it's going to be lifted up a bit at the very bottom, but ahead of us it's going to be brought down more. Bit of a surprise in here because we've come across Jimmy Gray from Ireland, been over in Australia, and a very keen motorcycle man. And Jim's knew of me, and his mechanic come odd job man. Knows what an aerial is, the BSA, HAS and all these things. So, g'day to you, Jimmy Gray. Overnight bedroom for quite a lot of the gear, and 6:30 knock-off time or thereabouts, and the machines are put away until 5:30 tomorrow morning, when 'tis all go again. special sort of a spanner he's got there to undo that drain plug. I don't know what the Caterpillar part number of that one is. So that's a pretty impressive line of Caterpillar machinery right there. And over there scrubbing the decks too. We've got John State here from Wanganui. He's just doing a bit of bullshitting on his truck, the D25C, before the end of the day. John's been on trucks all of his life, but mainly lambs and cattle, stock trucks, and he finds this a great change on the new cats. What's your problem then, Grant? Just tell us all about it.
Lock on my shirt. I refuse to work in the morning until I promise you. The area